So are California residents finally opening their eyes to the fact that this whole raising the minimum wage thing just doesn't work? I mean, I don't know. Like ever since this whole, since Donald Trump won, it seems like a lot of people are starting to open their eyes to the fact that a lot of these Democrat liberal policies just don't work, right? It's making life much harder for people. It's making things more expensive, less safer. And people are starting to see like, you know what you're doing isn't working. And so we need to try something different. And it seems that way in California, where they're whole raising the minimum wage, it seems like they're like, you know what, this doesn't work. It's making things more expensive. And we know what's going on in California, especially like since last year or so, or beginning of this year, where for fast food workers, I think they raised it up to $20 an hour, and I even think in some parts of the healthcare sector where they raised it minimum wage to $25 an hour. And we already saw what happened, right? People lost their jobs, businesses closed down, the food got more expensive. So I think people are starting to finally open up their eyes that we want to help people, right? We want to make sure people can live off their wages, but it's not working. There are consequences to these actions, and I think a lot of people hopefully starting to open their eyes to see that these consequences are making things way more expensive. People are losing their jobs, businesses are shutting down, things are getting worse. So we see what happened in California. They said for the first time, I think voters rejected a ballot of increasing the minimum wage, and this is the first time this happened in about 24 years. So this clearly people are saying, you know what, no. Right, so that's a good step in the right direction. So let's watch what they have in the news and see like what more details they have about it.
Also, a statewide proposition just called within the past 10 minutes. We're talking Prop 32. That one would increase minimum wage here in California.
Yeah, the Associated Press saying voters are rejecting the measure. KCRA 3 Capitol correspondent Ashley Zavala explains why opponents are calling this a huge shift in voter behavior.
Right. Well, now that the measure is officially called, opponents were ready to declare victory yesterday. The minimum wage in California is currently $16 an hour. Proposition 32 would increase that to $18 an hour, or would have, I should say. Businesses with at least 26 employees would have needed to start paying that in January. Small businesses would have needed to pay $17 an hour starting next year, then $18 an hour in 2026, again, under this measure that voters just rejected. Meanwhile, the California Restaurant Association is a major opponent of this measure. The organization's president says California has been on a historic roll of raising minimum wages year to year. He says the vote tally so far shows a seismic shift in voter attitudes, which right now are focused on the cost of everything.
And that's the thing, like when people start feeling it in their pockets, people start to ask questions, okay, why is this happening? Why are things getting more expensive? Like it makes no sense. Like why is everything increasing? Okay, there's got to be a reason. And I understand a lot of people don't understand the economics of these things. I understand like when it comes to minimum wage, you want to make sure people are able to feed their families. However, when you start to question, okay, why is it every time we are increasing the minimum wage, people are losing their jobs and the price of the goods are getting more expensive? People start to say, all right, you know what, there's a reason for that. There's a correlation. Like every time you increase the minimum wages, the cost, things are getting more expensive. So I think people are starting to get to a point where like, all right, let's calm this down, like, because this is not a solution. Because right now you're hurting my pockets, okay? And even though you're increasing the minimum wage for these employees, it's still not helping this situation. They're still struggling financially, even though you've increased the money that they make. Everything around them is also going up at the same time. So this is not a solution, right? It's just something a lot of these politicians do because it's an easy win to get votes. And obviously a lot of politicians do it, especially on the Democrat side, that do this because they know it's an easy way to get votes and support for them.
To operate in California with the high costs and a constant rising wage mandates being thrust on small business owners, it's hard to stay in business. We're reading every day in the front page of every newspaper, top story in every news broadcast where small businesses, restaurants are going under. Iconic restaurants that aren't, empty all the time, busy restaurants, and they just can't stay afloat.
Now, supporters of Prop 32 have said the cost of living in California is the reason why minimum wage needed another bump, but of course, the outcome not going in their favor
And see, that's the thing, some of these voters still don't get it. They said, because the cost of living is going up, this is why we need to increase minimum wage. But they don't understand the fact that you're increasing the minimum wage is making a lot of these things go up. So it's just, like I said, it's people don't really understand the economics, the business part of it. But at least for a lot of people, they're starting to realize, yeah, this isn't working, and we need to put a pause on this. So
we learned tonight.
Okay, so even though voters rejected this, can lawmakers still make this happen?
Absolutely. Lawmakers are the reason right now why California's minimum wage is $16 an hour. They are the reason why fast food workers in California now make a minimum wage of $20 an hour, and why the healthcare minimum wage is set to be $25 an hour. Condi noted something to watch this year is whether lawmakers take a cue from voters here. We know California's Fast Food Council has the authority to raise wages for that sector again this upcoming year. Labor groups would like them to do that with another pay bump. Officials tell us that would be about another 70 cents, again, on top of the $20 an hour they make, again, if approved. Will there be other sections of the economy or in industries in California that will see their own fine-tuned minimum wage increase from the legislature? That's something that, would not be maybe off the table this year, but we'll see when lawmakers come back to Sacramento.
All right, Ashley, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, these lawmakers still have an opportunity to increase it. And look at it, like I said, these lawmakers, they want to get votes. They'll do what they have to do to make sure they get those votes. So let me see, turn this off. Yeah. So yeah, they'll see what they're gonna do. So there's also an article on NBC News that also goes into this. So and that's the thing, like we'll see what these lawmakers do, because like I said, a lot of these people want to get votes and they want to keep them in power, so they're going to do the thing that's more popular. But obviously with these votes coming in and saying people rejecting it, obviously the majority of people say we don't want to do that. Okay, so we'll see what these lawmakers do. So it says, all right, so the voters in California have narrowly rejected a ballot measure that would have gradually increased the minimum wage in the state to $18 an hour. It's the first time a ballot measure proposing to raise the statewide minimum wage has failed nationwide since 1996. All right, the California measure listed as Proposition 32 on the ballot proposed bumping the minimum wage to $18 an hour by 2026, which would have made it the highest in the U.S. With 92% of the vote counted, the no vote had the support of 50.8% of the voters, while the yes vote had 49.2%. So it's a pretty close one. So it says supporters of the measure said it would have benefited workers, while opponents argued that the passing it would have increased costs for employers, which most likely have prompted them to fire employees, which would have happened. The California Chamber of Commerce, which opposed the measure, lauded its defeat. California current state minimum wage for its workers is $16 an hour under the law signed by Democratic Governor Newsom and went into effect in March. The minimum wage for any fast food worker is $20. Another law signed by Newsom increased the minimum wage in the state for many healthcare workers to $25 an hour starting last month. California's 16 minimum wage is already among the highest in the country. Some cities in New York also have a minimum wage of $16 an hour, while Washington State's minimum wage $16.28. As Hawaii's minimum wage is set to gradually increase to $18 an hour in 2028. All right, so the fee is the first time in 28 years that the ballot measure has increased. The state minimum wage was defeated. So look at, man, that's a step in the right direction. Because like I said, of course we want people to be able to feed their family. We want people to be able to make money. Like if you could increase minimum wage without it affecting overall, prices of goods and services, and then I don't think anybody would have a problem. No one cares, okay? But however, there are consequences to these type of actions, and a lot of people obviously don't realize, especially the workers, the employees. Like all you're thinking about is like, damn, everything is expensive, and I can't. It's hard for me to live, and any way that you can increase the amount of money I make, I'm going to take it. However, it's still not going to help their situation when it comes to their finances. Okay, because everything else is going to increase at the same rate, and you're going to still be like, I make $20 an hour and I still can't afford things. That's because inflation, you're inflating everything. Everything is costing more. Businesses got to increase their prices because their labor costs are increasing, and it's just going to make it worse for everybody. So, and this is what people are saying is like, yo, all right, we got to stop. Things are way too expensive. We need to cut costs. We need to stop doing what we're doing because this is not working. Okay, we need to find another way, and obviously people respond. So those are my thoughts. Interested to hear your thoughts. Make sure you leave a comment down below, hit the like button, share, and if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe. All right, so guys, take care. Have a good one. Later.